We talk a lot about fixing what's broken in this job, but sometimes the most powerful thing you can do as a leader is just to see what's already going on right. Know Your Force is a simple system that sends a quick text survey to the people you interact with. It's helping leaders see the good their teams are already doing, back their people with real data, and step in before stress turns into burnout. Learn more at knowyourforce.com. Law enforcement and government agencies struggle with parking citations, often because no one will pay them. Boots or other devices are costly, and they invite confrontation when implied and later removed by enforcing employees. With Tire Tag, you can avoid many hurdles and ultimately promote public safety and revenue collection. To learn more, visit tiretag.com. For a thorough conversation on how Tire Tag can help your agency and revenue collection, visit episode 204. That's 204. The views and opinions expressed by the host and guests of this show do not represent their employing agency, department, or organization. All information should be regarded as anecdotal, contextual, and educational, and should not be misinterpreted as legal or medical advice. Welcome to Blue Grit Radio, the podcast that explores making better cops for a better community. I'm your host, Eric Tung. I've been an active police officer since 2007. We will dive into the aspects of police culture, health and wellness, leadership, and mindset. You'll hear from experts not only from policing, but all industries as they relate to being our best with purpose, passion, and positivity. Join me as we share stories, lessons, and advice so we can all be better for ourselves, our teams, our families, and our communities. What's up, man?
How you doing, brother?
I'm good.
I love it. I love that you're in town. I was just been in Seattle a couple times here recently, and I got some other things coming up on the horizon. So I love that you're over here on the east side of the state. How often do you actually make it over here?
Not often.
Okay.
We go out and camping a Chelan area like about once a year, and then we have some family that's like a random kind of over the mountains. But I haven't been to Tri-Cities in a while.
Yeah,
out here.
There's not a lot to. I don't feel like this is a destination place people usually come, right? If you love vineyards,
there's vineyards, yeah.
Then maybe you come here and you spend some time doing one of the vineyard tours. But short of that, it isn't the same type of like destination place that I go over to Greater Seattle for some reasons, because of what's over there. You go over there to watch a Mariners game or to watch the Seahawks play. You aren't coming here to watch the Tri-City Americans play Western Hockey League hockey.
Not yet. Not yet. Is there good camping out here? I feel like a lot of people do. They do camping. They do RVing. Yeah. I don't know if that's because of the vineyards or because there's good spots too.
Yeah, and around the Tri-Cities there are some good spots. In Tri-Cities proper, I don't know if anyone's coming camping in Kennewick. Actually, there are some people camping in Kennewick. They're homeless, and that's a totally different
that's
podcast
not
episode.
That's just it's just a different style of life. You
know what? I saw a headline. I was in Spokane this weekend, and I saw a headline on the Spokesman Review, and it said, and I don't know if it said Spokane City or if it said Spokane Police, but it pretty much said homelessness recriminalized. Very catching article headline, right? Something that kind of drew my attention.
That's what they want.
My guess is they've probably passed a law saying you can't crap in the middle of the street anymore, right? That should be something that we're taking some action about because that's actually negatively impacting quality of life.
Yeah, that's a public health thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's places for that. Yeah. We try to provide places for that as a society.
There's enough places for it. And the downtown Spokane area has been a wreck for a while with having two adult daughters that live there. And I went there enough to where I saw the slide. I saw it worse than Seattle. Worse than downtown Seattle.
There's not a lot of people that say that a lot, especially east side of the state, right? Yeah. To say that it's usually like, hey, check out your problems over there, not our problems. But truly, these things affect everyone. I mean, just about every community.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that whatever they're doing, I have no doubt that there's probably a bigger picture approach. I doubt they're just trying to bring down a hammer on things. I bet you they're trying to add some enforcement to behaviors that have been tolerated for too long, along with the social services that they're offering and ways that they're trying to help people make their lives better.
You're saying you're keeping an open mind that the headline is not
the headline
truly all that is happening.
Totally false. The headline was totally clickbait, and I didn't even pick up the paper because of that. I thought about picking it up, going, "Ooh, I wonder what they did," and I thought, I already know what they did. They're just doing. And again, I'm drawing conclusions without information, but I'm assuming that their city council probably passed some ordinances to start solving some of their problems, along with the social services that they're doing in a city that size. So.
Yeah. I just had some leadership courses, and one of the days was focused on the media, and I liked how this former law enforcement officer leader framed it, and it was a lot of like objective view of the media, because it is easy, and we do have a tendency to villainize the media because of the polarizing nature of what they can do or certain entities within them can do.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest takeaway is like the media can be a very good thing. Transparency of the government and how things are working, and that people have a right to know. That's kind of what we're founded on as a nation.
Yeah.
However, there should be some objectivity, right? There is such a thing as responsible journalism, and we all know folks in journalism, if you look, that are more on that wavelength.
Yeah.
It is something that can be really frustrating, especially in our work, which is we're just trying to do the best we can. When we have headlines that are counter to that kind of sucks.
Yeah, especially if you get into the meat of the article and you're like, all right, your article actually doesn't support that headline. That headline was just to get people to read it.
Yeah.
We have a pretty good relationship here in the Tri-Cities. I was our PIO for a year, and I just had great relationships with the media. We were able to have great conversations. They were trying to do a job. I was trying to do a job. A lot of times our jobs aligned. A lot of times the stories they were wanting to tell were stories I was wanting to talk about, right? And so it was a great opportunity to share with our community the efforts that we were doing to solve crime, to solve getting back to homelessness. You know, Kennewick sends out, I don't know if they still do this, they send out an officer 8 hours a week with social service providers to connect with homeless people on the street and to try to get them housing today, not to try to help something in a week or in a month. To try to take them from the street to a roof over their head right now.
Yeah.
And so, you know, telling stories like that are stories that we want to tell. And the media has the ability to amplify those messages for us when we have the strong relationships. And when we're willing to help them, they're willing to help us, I think.
Yeah. And that's fantastic. It is the partnership that can sound kind of like buzzwordy, but it's really what it is, right? We're all like just members of a greater community. We're all trying to do a similar thing, which is like get a safe, secure, productive, cooperative community where people are able to live their life in a safe, meaningful, fun, happy, content way.
Yeah,
100%. Right. And they're all pieces of it. But yeah, you speak to something that a lot of people do, that kind of work, the unsung work, which is like really trying, like in this type of social work and alongside true careers of social work. And sometimes, from my personal knowledge of like colleagues that are in that space, it's like they're trying to work, they're literally trying to give someone all the resources on the day. Refusal, right? Like, and I'm not trying to place judgment. It is just to say that it is harder than it sounds from the outside.
Oh, it's really hard work. Anytime the officer in that role wasn't available, I would go out instead, because that's all we had in our unit other than our school resource officers. And I would see us contact the same people. I remember one gal in particular, we must have contacted her a dozen times, just building relationships with her, just bringing her a cup of coffee, bringing her some water. She's refusing services. And eventually we built a relationship with her, and she accepted services, and I haven't seen her on the street since. Oh, wow. And she was always at the same spot. So I'm hopeful that she is still in housing, and it just took, she didn't trust anyone. And so it took that consistent effort and relationship from those service providers to get to a spot where she was willing to say, okay, I trust you. I don't think you're trying to do anything bad. I'm willing to let you help me. And yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. It's the small wins, and that's like it might feel like a small win in the multitude of all the calls and all the individuals you work with, especially spanning a whole career. But I mean, that's someone's life, for her. It's not a small thing. And so And I like what you just said, like just being hopeful. I think that's the key to, what we both talk about so often. And what do folks need? Folks going under stress, and talk about leadership, talk about resilience. But it's all just like, how do you maintain a modicum of practical, right? Not like toxic positivity, but like practical, tangible, meaningful hope.
Yeah.
And that's what you put out so well, man. And not to make too hard of a pivot, but want to talk to you about your book.
Yeah. Well,
your story.
That's the hope of the book is, both in first responders, but then also in their families. I want them to have hope. If they're going through, and I'll use an analogy, if they're going through a season that's like a big storm, right? And they feel the weight of life in a very, I don't know if I can continue on type of way. I want them to feel hope. I want them to know, yeah, this is tough. This is crippling in some cases, and it's gonna end. Like, this season is gonna end, and we're gonna come out of it, and it's gonna be better.
Yeah, and we're putting this episode out on both of our shows, and so anyone listening to your show is familiar with your story, and those listening to mine, you may recognize the name Chris Littrell from prior episodes, and please find those if you haven't, which tells a little bit more about your story and a lot more about your heart. Now, I'm curious, when the idea and the genesis of putting pen to paper in the format of a book started. You've been writing a long time. Police One articles, a gamut of topics.
Yeah. So it started as I came out of my first kind of struggle with anxiety and depression. So 2010, child crime detective, SWAT team. There was a number of child cases that bothered me. I started experiencing anxiety and depression, and I started to write about that story. I wrote it. I don't remember how long it was, but I was extremely detailed in it. Got done with it. Now at this point in my story, I'm a school resource officer. So I'm at Kennewick High School, where I graduated from. I have teachers that were my teachers when I went to school there.
Wow.
So I went to one of them that I trusted, and I gave him the manuscript. And I said, hey, I'm thinking about making this a book. I want your opinion. So he reads it, and he comes back and says, what was your intent of writing this? And I was like, well, honestly, it just started as like a therapeutic kind of journal. It wasn't a journal, but that's kind of, it was a therapeutic writing. And I wrote it to just kind of get it out.
Yeah.
And he goes, good. Put it in a safe and lock it up.
How do you take that? How did you take it at the moment?
I took it well, because I trusted him. The trust factor was there, right? He was telling me a couple different things. One, this is not book ready. Okay. The way you've written it is not suitable for a book. Two, the fact that I was still an active duty cop, he was worried about me talking about having suicidal ideation and what the negative impact that could have on my career. Whether it be I get involved in a use of force and someone wants to try to paint the picture that I acted improperly because, I have this, I've written it down of having, these intrusive thoughts, or, I'm in federal court being sued. Same thing. Someone wants to bring up this book and use it almost as evidence of me being unstable, I guess. So yeah, it was twofold. And so I listened to him. I went home and I hit print, and I printed a paper copy. I deleted every electronic copy that I had, and I literally put it in the bottom of my safe and forgot about it until 2023.
Wow. Yeah.
And that, I said I forgot. That isn't true. I knew it was there, but I had resolved that I'm just not going to ever put this in a print copy where someone else is going to read it.
Yeah, you shuffled it away, you stored it away, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
There's some figurative kind of metaphorical peelings we could do there, right? With like, you're printing it, you're wiping it. It exists there, but you're putting it there.
Yeah.
Not to ignore or hide it, but just not yet. Like, now is not the time, but it's here. It's going to serve another purpose later. I'll revisit it, rework it.
Yeah. And I don't know if I knew I was going to do that. Jamie was not open. My wife was not open to me telling my story back then for a lot of the same reasons. I'm still on the job. She was afraid that somehow it was going to jeopardize continuing in this work. And when 2023 happened and I checked myself into a PTSD recovery center and I come out of that, and when we get to the point of realizing I'm not going to continue in police work, I'm going to retire. Now it changed it a little bit. There's still a lot of vulnerability in sharing these stories. It still makes me, I mean, quite frankly, there's a little bit of fear there of how are people going to respond. Not the I don't have a huge fear about the overwhelming population, but what about my kids? What are they going to think of me? And, but as I worked through, even after I retired, as I continued in therapy, as I continued to unpack some of these traumatic events that I either experienced firsthand or that I heard children disclose of what happened to them, I wanted to start narrating them, not out loud to anyone else. I just wanted to get them on paper. And again, it turned into this therapeutic thing. And at first I still had this idea of a book, but it was too big. It was way too big. Honestly, it was overwhelming to the point that I was like, I don't even want to write about it. And then at some point there was a shift. What if today I just talk about the time that there was a baby on a roof? Mm. Maybe if I just talk about that, the fact that this baby could have easily died by just crawling off the roof. I'll just talk about that today. And so I spend 15, 20 minutes either typing or narrating that story, what I saw, what I did, some of the emotional impact that it had on me. And then I'm done, right? I didn't try to write a book. Yeah. I just wrote about this one event. And then I started collecting those. And it wasn't even on Microsoft Word. It was on notes on my phone that I was doing this. And all of a sudden I had 10 or 15 of these type of events recorded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. And I think I know it's something we've discussed separately and together, which is, it's kind of that metaphor, like how do you eat the elephant? It's like one bite at a time. And for a lot of us, in any point of our life, one aspect of our life, or just life can seem so daunting and insurmountable. You've shared so much about that very vulnerably, and you just put one foot in front of the other. Yeah. I mean, I remember you sharing specifically, just saying like, yeah, some hard days, like, can I brush my teeth? And I think you used the word scummy, which is it really gives the imagery, right? Like everyone knows if you skip it, it's, you feel it. It's really gross, right? Like, so like, let's do that. Can I brush my teeth today? Can I make my bed? And that's why these little things can be so significant for building that inertia. You said something else I want to kind of rewind back to, which is the fear of loving wife, very understandably, absolutely. Fear of loving family, very understandable, right? And then also like, man, do I want to put out all this? Like I've shared, I've talked about certain aspects of it, but have I really like removed the veil fully and what that may invite? And that's very normal. That's very that's an extreme amount of vulnerability. And I wonder with that process, or did you reflect on other aspects of like, when you start a podcast? Because for most of us that have done this, we talk about it, we're like, yeah, it's pretty freaking terrifying to just put your voice out. A lot of people admit, like, I don't know how many times I've heard it from most everyone I know in some way, right? Like, oh my gosh, I hate listening to my voice. I hate listening to a voicemail, like recording, or like hearing myself on a video, right? Like there's that. And then it's your words. And then it's beyond that. It's your feelings. It's all these things that a lot of times we hold on to so near and dear because it's safe, right? It's scary. It's scary to put that out, and you're putting out so much.
Yeah. And as an extrovert, I'm guessing you're an introvert. Am I correct?
Okay. Yeah, you're very correct.
As an extrovert, sometimes I don't know what I'm going to say until after I've said it.
Ooh, that's exciting.
So you ask me a question and I start to answer it. And I'm literally listening to what I say as I say it, and I'm checking it versus reality, right? Like, is this actually how I feel? Is this actually what I think? And sometimes I'll say something and I'll be like, okay, well, hold on a second. No, that's not accurate. Like, I mean, the words I just threw out, I was trying to be accurate, but no, that doesn't fit. And so there's that vulnerability piece, right? Am I going to say something stupid? Because I know I'm an extrovert and I know I sometimes speak without thinking completely. My intent is always good. I've never been concerned. All my bosses over the years that gave me coaching and feedback, they never criticized my intent. Chris, we know your intent's good. It's sometimes your delivery that's off the mark. I'm like, yeah, I know that. I know that's what I need to work on. And I guess with with podcasts, there's a little bit more vulnerability there because you don't have the editing process. I mean, like, I guess if it's my episode,
yeah, you could.
I could. Yeah. And if it's someone else's show that I'm on, like when I was on Blue Grit Radio, I could have, hey, Eric, can you go back and edit this thing?
Sure,
I don't know if that sounded right.
Yeah.
With a book, there was a little bit of comfort there because I could read it, I could reread it, I could edit it. I gave it out to a few friends that gave me some really good feedback. I changed the name of a chapter because of some feedback I got from a friend. I added more description, specifically in key takeaways. Initially, those were a lot shorter initially. And so there's a little bit of comfort there, but there was even some surprise there. Like after I was done creating it, I've now had, including my mom, my wife, I've had a number of people proof it for me. I upload it, and that was kind of this, there was a little bit of fear there, right? Like I'm putting it online.
Yeah.
Like it's not released yet, but it's uploaded to the Amazon Kindle website. And then once they'll send you author copies, they have this really silly ribbon across the front that says not for resale that makes it super ugly. But it's otherwise a full copy of your book for you to review and to make sure it looks the way you want it. Well, I gave two of those copies to my 22-year-old and my 19-year-old daughters. And after I gave them a copy, I was like, oh, shoot. Like, they're going to read it.
Can I get that back?
Right. Like, they're going to read about some really dark things that I share about in there that they maybe have never heard. They don't listen to all the podcasts I'm on or even all of my episodes, I know. And so my oldest daughter, she did listen, especially Marriage Mondays. I know she listened to that regularly. But all of a sudden, I was afraid again. Like, afraid to the point of tears, Eric. Like, I told Jamie, I'm like, oh, Jamie, I didn't tell the girls about some of these things. And I don't want them reading about it for the first time. Like, I want it coming out of my mouth. Thankfully, I was able to talk with them before they got to some of the more concerning chapters for me. And I just told them, in tears, I told them, hey, just so you know, this was something I went through at one point. These were some of the dark thoughts that I have. I don't want you to be scared of me. And thankfully, my daughters were amazing, and they showed empathy, and they said, Dad, I'm not scared of you. Like, thanks for giving me a heads up, but I'm not scared of you. I'm ready to read it. And so it's just an interesting thing. Like, how did I not know that ahead of time, Eric? Like, I knew once I uploaded it, I knew that my daughters could buy it, could read it. Like, but it wasn't until after I gave them a copy that fear hit me again. So I think that's the struggle with some of this stuff, whether you have someone that's gone through a tough season in life, that they're coming on Blue Grit Radio or Gravity Podcast, and maybe they feel nervous going into the show, but then it goes kind of well. Most of the time after I get done interviewing someone, they're like, wow, that was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Thanks for having me.
And then they hear it and they're like, oh, that was smooth. And I was like, I told you.
Yeah.
Like, you're in your own head.
But I know I've had some guests that are nervous from recording to release. And they're like, I may have sounded stupid. I don't know. And I don't know about you, but if I have someone that's super nervous, I'll even give them the episode ahead of time. I'll be like, hey, I'll let you listen to it, man. If you don't like it, we can delete the whole thing. Like, it's whatever, it works good for you. But yeah, I felt a little bit of that after the book got put up on the website or on the on Kindle Direct. I felt a little bit more anxiety and fear of what are people going to think.
Yeah. Something you said earlier, it reminds me of how a podcast can be more daunting because you actually have a tone. Like, it's your voice, and your voice can crack and your voice can tremble, and you can hit these spots where you're saying something. And I've reflected on this where I can think something all the time, I can write it, but if I say it and I hear my own voice say it to somebody, it might be one of the scarier times, right, or one of the sadder times in my life. Like, it'll make me feel much more emotional than replaying in my mind over and over and over. It's just a different kind of sensory input and angle. I wonder if through all the things you've done, through all the things you tried, like the book, yes, a different level of different type of vulnerability is you're almost like it's these reps and experimentation with vulnerability rather than just being like, you know what, I just kept it all bottled up inside for a full career and I'm going to write this book and here you go world. Like I don't know a lot of people that just like go full bore that way.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be a lot.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. And, you know, then I go and speak at an engagement and there's another test, right? There's another opportunity of testing that vulnerability. And I would love to say, I don't care what other people think. I try to have that mindset, but it's not true.
Yeah.
I care what other people think.
Me too.
I was at a Behind the Badge Foundation event this weekend and I'm bearing my soul and I have a retiree's wife in the room. And when I talked about suicidal ideation, she gasped. And then she was like, I'm sorry. I'm like, don't be sorry. I gasped too when it happened, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And so, but I mean, if that would have been, I don't know, if that would have been a year and a half ago, I don't know how I would have responded. Like I wouldn't have been upset with her, but I don't know that it wouldn't have kind of taken me off track a little bit. Right. Like I was able to kind of take that and then press into the rest of the presentation. But I think each time people try it out, so whether you have officers that have gone through these critical seasons in their careers where just the cumulative trauma has built up to the point that they're going to get it out, and as they test their counselor and their spouse, some of their coworkers, as they test these people to say, are you able to hold space for me? Are you able to hear about this? And as people people sit there and listen to them, it gives them more courage to keep telling other people about it. And if early on in that cycle, if you will, if someone responds sharply to us, I think it can communicate a message of shut up and stop talking about this. You can't say this.
Yeah, it's like testing the water. And I wonder how much, even for the specific example of that lady in the audience, what was she gasping at? Was she gasping at you and your account? Was she gasping at how it connected to someone close to her life?
That's a really good point.
Was it and I think that's
yeah.
That is a healthy recognition when we think about what might be off-putting or how we read things, but a lot of times what perturbs us or perturbs others is a part of them, right? It's kind of like that shadow aspect in psychology that I'm nerding out on these days. But to go back to vulnerability, I mean that cannot be is it understated, overstated? It cannot be overstated, the importance and the value, and people want it. I just did this online training of the Lead Yourself Well, right? And I did this pre-questionnaire, and there are several questions you could answer, but a couple that I really wanted them to answer. Like, hey, these ones are required, and if you have time, you want to nerd out with me, like, let's go down the list. But it was really like, what do you think is missing when we're talking about leadership and wellness in this intersection? And over, the people that are coming on to the training to participate in this were like, vulnerability. Like, I want to figure out how I can like find the right toggle of vulnerability, but also leaders aren't doing it. And so as you've been telling us more, and we're having this conversation about these different aspects of vulnerability and these different things you've done and these different ways you've shared, like, it is a paradox, right? Because if we have law enforcement officers and leaders that are afraid, fully understandably why, right? Like afraid to say, I go to therapy, and afraid to say, yeah, I'm scared. Yeah, I'm worried. That call was terrifying. Yes, I was worried about how this would happen and how this would go. And I hope this never happens. I don't know what I would do. Yeah. Like, these are insecurities, but if we don't share that, then we are not allowing others to go there and share that. Right. And so those listening, it doesn't mean you have to write a book. It doesn't mean you have to start a podcast, but sometimes it's the simplest things where, one of my proudest moments of someone on my agency culture was, a seasoned officer that's not a peer support guy, really not known or seen to be like a quote unquote wellness guy, but he was in a roll call. They were doing a debrief of a crappy call the night before.
Yep.
And in that, he held space, and he's like, you know what? I talked to my therapist about it, and I wish I had a therapist. Hey, you young guys in the front, you guys need to talk to one of the therapists. Hey, you need to hit up that gal that we contract with, like, before you have these issues. He's like, man, like, I wish I did it 15 years ago. You could do it now. You should do it now. Do it now.
That's
right?
powerful.
It's so powerful because he doesn't hold rank. He doesn't wear a hat. He's not the peer support friendly guy. He's just a dude who means well, and he has that credibility. So it's almost like that, the credibility when you don't hold rank. It's the leadership just because you're proven and you're there and and people know. And so it is a bit of that. It takes someone to be first or something like that, right? Like, I'm not afraid to say I talk to a counselor or therapist now, but there was a time for sure I would have been.
Oh yeah, this could affect promotion. This could affect how people look at me. I mean, all kinds of and I've heard people share stories of they believe the fact that they were transparent about what was going on did negatively impact the way they were treated.
This episode is sponsored by Hero Schedule. If your department needs better scheduling software that isn't outdated, clunky, and expensive, Hero Schedule is an easy switch. It's $4 per user per month, and they give you a free 30-day trial. Get started at heroschedule.com and click on Try Hero Schedule.
At their organizations. And I think it could happen. And we as leaders, and when I say leaders, I'm talking about the broader sense that you just described, from our chiefs, sheriffs, and directors down to our line level officers, we as leaders need to make it so that this is just part of our culture. Yeah. It's not even that it's okay to not be okay. No, this is expected.
Yeah.
It's expected to say that call yesterday kind of messed with me and I had indigestion. And it's something we talk about because that's what we do, right? Yep, we do. Okay, good. Okay, I thought that was what we did here. Yeah, was that we acknowledge the physiological impact that this job has on us, and I feel like the more we can verbalize that, it makes it just safe to talk about. I'm not even safe; it just makes it commonplace, right? Yeah. Like, I guess making it safe to talk about acknowledges the fact that it isn't safe. So we have to create a safe place versus just the expectation. No, this is just what we do here. Yeah. And I'm excited to see more and more organizational cultures be there. Yeah.
What I hear in that is acceptance, right? It just is. Like, let's not, like, we don't need to worry about so much labels, but it just is. Yeah. Like, it's super normal. It's super expected. If you see a bunch of messed up stuff, you're going to have messed up thoughts about it. Yeah. And it's going to bother you because you're a human with feelings. Like, these are good things that, like, as to the why it happens. Yeah. At the same time, if you don't notice anything in yourself and no one else is poking you, noticing from the outside, then, hey, that's great. It hasn't hit you. Maybe it won't. Maybe it won't in a certain way. Maybe it'll be just a totally different type of adaptation or, kind of indicator, from a different angle. I found that looking for traditional triggers, quote unquote triggers, right after my OIS, I thought it'd be the gun range. I thought it'd be canine stuff. I thought it'd be whatever. In hindsight, the best I can guess is just general patrol stuff. If someone wasn't complying right away, if a car wasn't pulling over right away, I was going like to the red, right, rather than like the yellowy orange.
You were getting fight or flight. I mean,
I was getting there way quicker, and I realized like that stuck with me. Like, I'm not on the street very much, but. And maybe there's an aspect there too, right? Where I'm like, man, I got to be on my game. I don't want to be I don't want to create an issue for somebody. I got to be on my game. So I'm like, everyone else appears a lot more relaxed than I feel sometimes when I'm just going to a mediocre, there's no such thing, but a mediocre call. Yeah. Right.
I like the way you just said that. Everyone else appears more relaxed than the way I feel.
Yeah. So I don't know. Right.
Right. Like they might be feeling it too. Maybe not. But I think that's another one of those things that trip us up is, and I like to call it the curse of comparison, is when we're looking at everyone else and going, everyone else is fine. What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Where in reality, you don't know how everyone else is dealing with it. You don't know how it's impacting everyone
Nope.
else. And again, that gets back to why I wish we talked about this stuff more often. And we don't have to talk about all of it. I had a mentor back in 2010, 2011. I wasn't telling him all of my story. And finally I said this to him. I was like, hey, brother, I'm not telling you everything. And I feel guilty. I feel like I'm somehow being disingenuous or whatever. Mm-hmm. Right. And he goes, you don't need to tell me everything. He's like, Chris, you tell me what you want to talk. I'm your mentor. You tell me what you want to tell me. And I'm going to help you unpack that. That's it. He goes, your therapist, tell her everything. He goes, because your therapist doesn't have like an x-ray machine where she can figure out what you're not disclosing. Yeah. So tell your therapist everything. Me, you tell me. And then he said something along the lines of, not everyone gets permission to hear your story. And I like that. I don't think, when we talk about vulnerability, I'm not, suggesting that chiefs and sheriffs go in and start bearing their entire soul to roll call each day. I don't know that it would be appropriate.
Yeah, I think it would be counteractive to the other roles, right? The mission, right? There's a sweet spot in the context and environment, timing.
But acknowledging a chief or a sheriff or a director, acknowledging, hey, I've been through tough seasons of my career, and I found that trusted friends, trusted relationships, including mental health professionals, if that's your story, really, really are beneficial. That right there, that piece of vulnerability, making it so that one, we're advocating for people talking to each other, and two, we're recommending, folks that might have a higher level of training to really help us out, I think could really benefit a lot of organizations.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, as you talk about your mentor saying, hey, like, you don't have to tell me everything. And then in this book where you tell a lot, to the point where you gave copies to your daughters, you're like, oh, shoot, I got to preempt this with a conversation. What did your intent become? And has it shifted at all from the time you started saying, I'm going to write this book for public reading and consumption and absorption to now when it's the presses?
Yeah. Initially, again, writing, it was definitely therapeutic for me. So that was a piece. I wanted my daughters to know. I wanted them to know, not as an excuse of my big emotional reactions that I would have in the house. I just wanted them to know some of what was going on. My oldest daughter and I had a lot of conversations around this. And so she had a pretty good idea of a lot of stuff that I had going on. My other daughters and I just haven't had those same conversations, just different relationships. And so I wanted it in print. I wanted them to know what those contributing factors were. And then somewhere in there during the editing process, specifically when it came to the key takeaways, I wanted to try to help a broader audience. I know that some folks are into, I think it's called true crime, real police stories and stuff. Yeah. And I have enough friends that aren't in law enforcement, don't have any military or law enforcement background. But when they share with me different things they're going through with anxiety, with depression, with just the toughness of life, right? Being a parent, being a spouse, I pick up on a lot of common themes with some of those false narratives that run through our minds. And, I'm a piece of garbage. And so I wanted the key takeaways, and not every chapter is at this, but I was trying to make the key takeaways these broader applications, these things that if you're not a cop, you're not military, not a first responder, and you read it, a cop story, and then you flip to those key takeaways, I'm hoping that they see these glimpses of their own life and ways that they could experience life change, ways that could give them hope towards healing from whatever is going on in their life and just moving forward. So It was really this evolving process, right? Where, initially I had one intent, and then as the process grew, so did my intentions.
Mm-hmm. I really like that. And a couple of reasons. One is that we experience stress and death in a way uncommon, but these are life things. These are not removed from everybody else.
No.
Everyone deals with loss.
Yes.
Everyone deals with hurt. Everyone deals with shame. Everyone deals with trauma and danger.
Yeah.
And worry and and all these things, the unpredictable happening to them, sometimes absolutely catastrophic. We see it through a different lens, and sometimes oftentimes compressed, and probably a bit too compressed by just how the job is designed and how our budgets and our staffing go. But these are human things. These are human lessons.
Yes.
I love cultural competency and relevancy to like speak to what you really know. So other people that are hearing that, or they're looking for that specific, unique comparison and maybe validation or encouragement. Yeah, that is a thing where people find in their niche. But beyond that, what I really appreciate, especially with Gravity, is there's a lot of people that have nothing to do with law enforcement that learn so much about life and relationship and health through Gravity.
Yeah,
because these are human things. They're not cop things.
Are you seeing the same thing with Blue Grit Radio? How many listeners do you have that reach out to you and say, "Hey, I'm not a cop, but I really like what you're doing"?
Yeah, not a ton. They kind of catch me off guard. They're usually from my circles.
Okay.
I don't think it's really something that's been found or circulated a whole lot outside of law enforcement.
Yeah.
At the same time, and I think we're similar in that we're not. These are passion projects. These are like kind of soul defining and curating and pursuit type of projects. So it's not really about marketing and trying to figure out the thing, but I have leaned towards trying to niche down because I do find the most feedback, whether right or wrong, has been specific to law enforcement, those trying to come in.
Yeah.
I started a bit more first responders, firefighters, and in type of scope. And I think a real hope when I started Blue Grit was to get civilians, because I at the time I started I was more life as a civilian than law enforcement officer, and now I'm getting really close to that halfway point. But because of what we talked about, right, which is like this is life stuff.
Yeah.
Same reason why a lot of non-veterans really learn so much from military, because these are human nature conditions in a pressure cooker.
Yes.
So how do I learn about leadership for my family, my business? How do I learn about challenge? Because these folks are at war when it's life or death. Like it's life or death maybe for a nation. And so all to say, I did have an initial, I think, interest, because a lot of it also was to humanize the badge from a different perspective. In a hopefully not super fluffy, sometimes fluffy way. But all to say, even going back to what you said earlier, which is like wishing that you cared less about what people think. I think that is the progression of finding yourself, and where you really unlock that superpower of being that old man, and excuse the imagery, but like that old man in the locker room in a big box gym that clearly does not give an F. He's
you talking about the guy not wearing a towel?
Yeah, he's not wearing a towel. He's just living life, right? Like, and it's like he's in the locker room as is his right? So it's like if it's a problem, it's a you problem, not a me problem.
Well, it's a me problem, because I'd rather him put his towel on. I'm just saying.
But let's get outside the locker room. That dude, he's in blue jeans. He's in those like sneakers that he uses to cut the grass. He's wearing his gardening gloves.
Yeah,
he doesn't care.
No,
but good for him. Like he's in there, lifting the weight, doing the work, getting the sweat on.
Yeah.
It's also social hour. He's happy. He's making people smile. Like, that's the goal. Like that's where we should all be trying to get to in concept. Maybe not in actuality, not in concreteness.
Yeah. I think one of the things, as I've heard people's, there's different levels of feedback. There's that constructive criticism where you believe the person is trying to make you better, right? And in those cases, people can say almost anything. Mm-hmm. At least for me, they can. If I believe they're trying to make me better, I'm all ears. There's folks that everything's wonderful, and that's the way they feel. That's awesome. I appreciate those people. It's the hard ones for me have been the feedback where I don't sense that they care about making me better. Yeah. And the criticism feels just more jabby. You know what I'm saying? Mm. And I've had it doesn't happen a lot, but every once in a while you get one of those. Had it at a first responder conference, one of Sean Thomas's events. Yeah. And again, I don't know, 200 responses. I don't remember exactly, that were either constructive or great job. And then one person that said, you should have never been a cop. And it's like, okay, that's not very constructive.
Well, yeah. Well, that is done. I don't know if you're listening, but I'm not one anymore.
I'm retired. So that wasn't constructive at all. What I've done, the more I've, during my career, I had someone that was very critical of me at one point, specifically about me sharing my story from 2010. Mm-hmm. And what I didn't know at the time was that he was going through some stuff.
Yeah.
And so my story probably felt pretty extreme. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't know that. I'm just drawing conclusions, right? And so I try to keep that in mind. If someone gives me, if the critic wants to speak up and say something, I really try to start from a place of empathy of, what do you have going on right now that is what you're going to bring to me?
Yeah. Curiosity.
Yeah, exactly. Be curious with it. A little Ted Lasso here, right? I love that scene. And it gives me a greater degree of compassion for other people. And it also just helps me with my own frame of mind then. It's not about me. And it's not about my story that's hurting them, right? The criticism isn't about me or my story. It's really about whatever they have going on that acted as a filter for the things I did say that seemed to hit everyone else's ears in a productive way.
Yes.
But this one person, it really hit them hard.
That's the thing, is it's your story. You delivered it one time.
Yeah.
And it was heard 200 different ways.
That's a really good way of saying it.
Right?
Yes.
And so it's not about right or wrong either. And I think that's where, have you kind of dove into like Jungian psychology or kind of that depth psychology at all, like James Hollis and stuff?
Carl Jung?
Yeah, Carl Jung.
I'm aware of him, and I'm sure I've touched some of his stuff.
Yeah.
But I haven't done my own like digging specifically into that.
Yeah, so I'm by no means any expert, but as an avid student, I would say, because I'm reading this like derivative type of work now, is that when someone says something like that, like you should have never been a cop.
Yeah.
It's not saying that person's weak, but they so fear that weakness within them, right? They hear this story and they grapple with this, holy crap, like if this was me, could this be me? And they're so paralyzed in so much that, what does it take for you to write a negative review, like to anyone, right? Like usually it's just like delete the email, or like you get the survey and you're like, nah, I didn't like the guy. Dude, move on. Like I got better things to do. But he's going to say, you should not have been a cop. It's almost like writing this like, should I have not been a cop? Because I'm hearing this, and how uncomfortable did sitting there make me feel that he was grappling with suicidality, that he was grappling with depression. What about me? And I'm not saying this about the person.
We don't even know.
We don't know, right? We don't know. I could be absolutely wrong, but that's just where it goes for like a personal energy thing. And then I also just have a pet peeve, as you didn't like that. Like no one does, right? The feedback of lacking the intention. You certainly know the relationship on an anonymous level, but you can read critical, constructive feedback a different way. It kind of just goes to like, it feels like a bully. And I got in the job because I hate bullies, and I've been a bully enough times, and I can recognize like it's times I still act like a bully, and that's what I hate, right? So like that's my own shadow of like, why am I so perturbed about bullies? It's like, well, because there's a piece of that in me too. Yeah, like, no one's perfect. We're all humans.
Those are the behaviors I don't like about me are the ones that make me frustrated with other people. That's what I hear you saying, right? And I see that in me. When I see someone doing something and I get frustrated over it, if I stop and reflect, it's like, I hate it when I do that. I hate it when I do that, right? And that's an interesting way for us to process that, I think.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is you can't control reactions, right? You can use it to influence yourself. It sounds like you've identified very well that you can hear critical feedback and be like, awesome, I can use this to make it better. I can see that, or I don't know about this. Maybe I need to chew on that more. Maybe I'll take that specific feedback and ask somebody else, and if they echo it and I trust them, maybe I do need to internalize or bring that on.
Yeah, agreed.
That's the thing. This has popped up in my mind since you said it, but with the extrovert personality of yours, think or speaking and then hearing it in the moment, I wonder, do you feel like extroverts, in your personal experience, do you feel like you're able to live in the present? Because what I hear is that, like, I'm speaking and I'm receiving all in real time. The introverts a lot of times are in their head of like, what should I say? Should I say it? How should I say it?
Yeah. Am I able to be present in the moment, specifically in conversation, because of the fact that I'm having to listen to what I'm saying?
Yeah, you don't have anything to compare it to, but I'm just curious where your mind goes.
Yeah, I think I've always struggled with living in the moment. That for me, I would call a discipline. And I differentiate between disciplines and habits. Habits, very little friction. Discipline, a whole lot of friction, a whole lot of work for me to do those things. And living in the moment is a discipline. This morning, I planned to hit the road at 7:00. I was going to go ride for an hour, 15 minutes on the bike, and then I was going to get off the bike and go for a run. And my youngest daughter plops on the couch next to me and starts sharing some stories with me. And it took work.
Yeah.
It took work. Phone starts dinging, and it took work to stay focused on her. But thankfully I had the awareness. I don't always have the awareness. Every once in a while I'll look at the phone or look at the watch. But I was all in it, and I'm asking follow-up questions and genuinely listening with curiosity. And then she gets done and she has to go to school, right? And then it's time for me to go work out. I don't have as much time now. I wasn't able to do the workout I planned. It really didn't matter. The greater good was listening to her in that moment. Yep. So that has been something that traditionally I don't think I've been good at. My wife has been a whole lot better at being in the moment and being a good listener than me. And I've learned a lot from her. So yes, I don't know if that's an extrovert trait though. I don't know if other extroverts would tell you the same thing, because I've never asked anyone before. But I know for me, just living in the moment takes work. It's easy for me to be thinking about the future. It's easy for me to be, I was out for my run this morning and I was literally replaying the 2 classes I taught this weekend in my head. Did I articulate that right? Oh my gosh, that person had that look on their face though. Man, I don't know if I connected with them the way I was trying to. Dang it. And in some ways, I think that's healthy if you're really debriefing it.
Yeah.
And like, okay, so next time I'm going to do it this way to get better. For me though, personally, there's an unhealthy piece of that where I'm not just debriefing it. I'm being overly critical of myself, of ways I maybe didn't hit the mark the way I was wanting to.
Yeah. I think the difference sounds like you're in a doom loop of perfectionism and not being good enough and being hard on yourself versus like actionable intelligence and application. Like, okay, identified this thing. What do I need to do? What am I going to do next time?
Yeah. Cool.
Done. Right. Like, and I've had a lot of conversations with people I've worked with because I saw that in myself and them. They'd be really hard on themselves, like in every stage of officer, right? Just cool. The lesson is learned. You beating yourself up more is not only not productive, but it's counterproductive.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. I going for a run helps. Working out helps me, right? A good night's sleep helped me. So again, this is getting back into me learning more about me, especially over the last 2 years. I know the things I need to do that will usually help me break out of that loop. And that was part of why even though I got to working out probably about 30 minutes later than I had planned, and so I made an adjustment. I still was going to work out. It wasn't like, well, I can't do the one workout I was going to do, so I'm just not doing it today. No, I was like, no, I need to work out today. I didn't work out yesterday because I was traveling. I didn't work out the day before that. No, I did. So it was just yesterday that I'd taken off. But still, I felt it. I felt not having trained yesterday, and I knew I needed to get out there to help my brain with that process. Yeah.
Well, good. I mean, I think that one of the main things is people continue to ask, like, hey, what do you need for this career? What do you need to be a good leader? And not like I know, I just try my best. But the best I figure, one of the main things I think we need as people in this fast-moving world and law enforcement officers in this, you never know what you're going to get in this box of chocolates, a patrol or what have you, is adaptability, right? And so, like, if your daughter's talking to you and your alarm of, like, start getting those miles in, but she's sharing a moment and you're not there to receive it, then that's the bigger regret. You can run more later in the week, right? And that's kind of what I hear, right? And it's for wellness and discipline. Yeah, sometimes the discipline is being quote unquote undisciplined to the rigidity. It's to be flexible and adaptable and able to evolve.
Yeah. And one of the takeaways I shared with people this weekend, I don't think this is anywhere in my book. It probably should have been. There'll be
Next
a future
edition.
There'll be a future book, probably a little bit different format, but you have to know, you have to identify what's great in your life, because in these professions that are good, that are noble, there are so many good things that are going to try to crowd out your time. If you don't have the great identified, you won't know when to say yes and when to say no. And this is what I struggled with when I was still on the job. SWAT was good. Peer support was good. Day shift detectives. I was pastoring at my church. These were all good things. The great things were the time that I got with my wife and my daughters. Mm. And then I would maybe throw in the core job that's going to help me earn money so that I can provide for those people. And then all that rest of that stuff, there's a lot of stuff that we just need to say no to. And this morning I said no to doing a multi-sport workout, right? Because it was good. It would have been good for me to do it, but it wasn't great. And that's what I hope, just through the podcast, through public speaking engagements. I'm hoping people will hear that message and will respond, because I can't tell them what's great in their life.
No.
They have to do that themselves. They have to, we all have different priorities, different ambitions. For the single person without a family, it's going to be different. Maybe being on the SWAT team is the great thing in your life. And if it is, brother, sister, like, run with it.
Yeah.
Like, thrive. But yeah, identify what those great things are. It makes it so much easier to say no to a whole bunch of good things.
Yeah, I would take that up a notch, which is like, okay, cool, like, good start. It's being on the team, but what is it about the team? Because one day, it might be 30 years from now, you might be one of these like unicorns that's on the team for like 25, 30 years. I've only met a couple.
I had some guys in their mid to late 50s on the team with me.
Yeah, and like, good for you. Like, you're a specimen. Yeah. Not just physically to do the thing, but mentally to do the thing.
Yeah.
But you're not going to be on the team forever.
No.
And you're not going to be, running a dog forever. And you're not going to be wearing the badge forever. And I'm playing with this. I haven't made the post yet, but it might be out by the time this airs. But it's that the badge can't be your identity. It was probably never meant to be an identity. It's a vehicle for your values. And so that's what I'm playing with. And it is to say that, yeah, there's things about the job, like some of the golden years, like the best times, the glory days.
Yeah.
I can think of like my old night shift crew. I hated working nights. Like, I hated it. I couldn't sleep, but the spark and the connection and the us against the world, like that camaraderie, that brotherhood was like second to none. However, I have other versions of brotherhood now today. Like, honestly, it's with guys like you and John Kelly. Like, some of us like span time zones, but we connect over these big like pursuits and passions of like trying to have these conversations hit in a different way to help people and help ourselves, right? It's all like part of this community, which is really unique. Yeah. And I feel really grateful. And it's just kind of like that adage, like your glory days are now, like, and they're always now.
Yes. And live that way. Yes.
Yeah. And there's this book I just looking at, like, Bill Plotkin. So shout out to Matt Domyancic, who's just like, he's a resource in all things health and spirituality and tactics, everything. But anyway, he turned me onto this book, but it's in the vein of this archetypal kind of Jungian psychology analyst stuff. But he's explained these different chapters in life, kind of like your childhood, where like, you have to find security in other people and all this stuff. But you have this wonderment and you're seeking this, you're just kind of discovering everything. You don't have to have the answers. And that's like the best part of your life. And then it took me a while, because maybe I was just focused on the wrong thing, but I'm looking through this book. It talks about adolescence and like kind of leaving the family, like kind of like rebelling a little bit and like not having a care in the world. But then it was like, that's the best part of your life. But then it goes into figuring out your stuff and like really leaving the nest. And like, man, what a time to go back to if you could only harvest that. And all the way up to like elderhood, which is like when it's not about you, hopefully, and not everyone gets here, sadly. A lot of people don't, but it's not about you. It's not even about your community. It's about like the world. It's like, what is your role? You're not going to be here very long. You're going to connect back to whatever your belief system is.
Yeah.
Like, how do you best serve that purpose, for your soul? And so like, what a time to be alive. Like, man, like this is the best time to be alive. So I'm like, I realize like I try to hang on to that. Because the good times back when, they wouldn't be so great if they lasted forever.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you got to take the good with the bad, and you can find the good. You got to look for it though. You got to like really look for it sometimes.
I think that mindset really helps with mindfulness. The mindset of right now is the good old days, right? And I really try hard to do that. I just got home yesterday from being at a conference, and I'm getting ready to rush out the door. My 19-year-old daughter's getting ready to rush out of the door with her fiance. And thankfully I had the light bulb kick on of, you haven't hugged her yet. So I stopped and I walked around the corner and I said, can I have a hug, babe? She said, oh yeah, Dad. Turns around, we have a great hug, right? Like, are we taking in those moments? Because we don't get them back. We can create them right now. You can always create them right now, but you don't get them back. You can't be like, well, I wish I would have, right? We don't get that. So being mindful, being in the moment, whatever we can do to stay grounded and stay in the moments that we're living right now, I think it leads to a lot more peace, a less anxiety, and yeah, that's what a lot of my efforts is trying to do for myself, and then trying to inspire others to do as well. So
yeah, I love that little moment you just shared. Like, that's a proud dad moment, like to hear. And I have a proud dad. Like, I'm like, yeah, nice job, Dad. Similarly, yesterday, my wife was at night yoga, like an evening yoga. It's not very common. I'm pretty sure it's just a nap, but regardless, like, I'm there with my daughter, we're playing Legos and we're watching The Voice and all that. And she's like, oh, I got to come by your back. And she pauses it. She's like, I'm going to the bathroom. Don't watch it without me. And then like, she's walking away, and I just have this, like, I'm just watching her walk, and I'm like, man, she's growing up so fast. I'm going to be out of town. Literally I'm in town here with you for this conference, and then rolling into another leadership summit after this. So out of state. But I'm like, I'm not going to see her. And I'm just like, hey. And she turns around. I'm like, hey, you're awesome. And she kind of like caught her off guard, and she kind of smirked. She's like, oh, okay. Yes. And she kind of saunters to the bathroom. I was like, yeah, man. Like, that's the stuff, like, you don't get, like, maybe she'll remember that, but to give her that feeling and then to reciprocate, and I got that feeling, I was like, okay, cool. I am being present to the points that we were talking about earlier.
And even if she doesn't remember the moment, I would argue from a uneducated standpoint, meaning I'm not a psychologist, obviously, but I would argue it's a formative moment. Even if she doesn't remember the moment, what she is going to remember is Dad loves me. Dad thinks I'm great, right? Those are the lessons that I want my kids to carry forward as they leave the house and live life on their own. Is I'm hoping that I spoke truth into their life enough times that the truth prevails instead of all of the false narrative that the world's going to throw at them, that their own mind is going to throw at them. It's good work, brother. That's awesome.
Thanks, man. Let's recap where people can find your book.
Yeah, actually, I have an author website. So that's probably the easiest way, ChristopherLittrell.com. You can go on Amazon and search Echoes from the Street, but probably the easiest way is just going ChristopherLittrell.com and then following the link from there.
All right. It is Littrell. I just, I was debating earlier, and I was
Littrell, you know what? Literal, I don't know. Whatever people say, I usually just
shout out to Matt Porter. He said it right. And then I was referencing other, because I don't even think we talked about it on the recording. We just rolled into talking, but I was like, which is it? And I referenced some of your podcasts where people said Littrell, and I was like, oh, I was right. Nope. Nope. Littrell. You heard it here, folks. Yeah, Chris Littrell.
That's the way my grandpa pronounces it. He's 93 years old and still alive, so he is the reigning person that gets to describe how we pronounce our name.
Well, it is what it is then, yeah.
Brother, thank you. Thanks for doing this cross post. I always love getting to connect with you. Usually it's not in person, obviously.
I know.
So it's cool to see you face to face in the same room and just to have this kind of conversation, encouraging each other.
No, this is special, man. This is perfect. Loved it. Thank you.
Yep. Have a great day.
Thank you for tuning into another episode of Blue Grit Radio. As always, support this community by subscribing, giving us a 5-star review, and following, liking, and sharing posts on Blue Grit Wellness on Instagram. You can reach me there or email me at bluegritwellness@gmail.com. Be well and stay gritty.